Greetings, dead and lovely listeners. It's your good buddies, Uncle Ben.
And Hollywood Steve.
And we are back again with the latest installment of the only podcast. Why, it's Dead and Lovely, the absolute greatest podcast, because it's the only podcast.
Yep.
We're going to be chit-chatting today about whose house?
His house.
His house. That's right. Netflix exclusive movie that came out a little bit earlier. No, it came out a couple months ago. It came out something like 2-3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, October of 2020.
And we're also going to be catching up on what we've been watching this week, drinking some cold beers and stuff like that. If you just want to get straight to the movie review, be that way. Check out the timestamp in the podcast description, but you're going to miss the good stuff. The good stuff is up front, you know? Mm-hmm. We kind of front load this stuff. I'll put all the good stuff up front, so you don't want to miss out on it. But if you do, fine, be that way. But also, I want to put it out there. This is a really, really good movie. Don't let us spoil it. We're going to be spoiling the shit out of all of this stuff.
Please
if you're on the fence,
do not
yes,
listen
watch
to
it.
this before. Go watch it. You do not want anything spoiled for you.
Mm-hmm. That's
Just
right.
Go watch this movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say your order of operations should be, first rate and review on Apple Podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for our Patreon page at the highest level that you can.
Yeah.
What's that URL?
Patreon.com/Dead and Lovely.
That's the one. You should go there. You should sign up. Then watch his house. Then come back and finish the episode. That's what I think
there
you should
go.
do. You know, I'm not trying to boss anybody around.
All of that.
I just think it's a good order of operations. How are you doing this week, Steve?
I mean, good. A couple of really awesome things happened that I'm excited to report.
Ooh.
Number one, numero uno with a bullet, was my man, Flying Brian.
Flying Brian.
And my lady, Leapin' Lindsay, gave me an Xbox One.
You don't say.
Yeah, they were packing up their stuff moving, and they were like, we don't need this. I bet Steve would like it. And I was like, yes, I would.
Turns
and
out
I
they
do
were
like
right.
it a lot.
Really? I've never had one of those before. What do you do with that?
Well, you play games from 8 years ago, basically. you catch up with the mid 20-year-olds. I've been playing Fallout 4 a lot, which that was like the primary reason I wanted an Xbox One, because I'm a huge fan of Fallout.
Yeah.
Wanted to play Fallout 4. Been playing it. It looks great. One of the greatest moments in the Fallout series history is the Brotherhood of Steel reveal that happens about a third of the way through the game, or about less than that.
Now, when you say Brotherhood of Steel, you're talking about the official Man-O-War fan club, correct? They're in the game.
Is that what they're called?
I think it sounds like what they would be called, so sure.
It does sound like what they would be called. No, the Brotherhood of Steel, they're basically, what would you call them? Like tech Nazis, kind of?
Ooh, they're Antifa. They're Antifa, yeah.
No, they are not Antifa. They're Profa.
Profa, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you got to get into Fallout. The whole Fallout universe, the mythology and stuff is just dope, because it is a world in which 1950s aesthetic and the nuclear obsession of the 50s was the future. So everything has this 50s aesthetic, and everything is powered by nuclear power.
Ooh.
And it's just it's just such a creative world and so much cool history.
So you're saying you can go down to the malt shop and get yourself one of those hot new mutations?
Yes, kind of. There are definitely malt shops, and there are mutants all over the place.
All right, bring my rocket launcher to the sock hop. Sounds like a good time. Dude, I've actually been doing myself a little bit of video gaming this week, too, because my man JR pointed out to me that there, unbeknownst to me, is a slightly updated port of Final Fantasy VII on the Switch.
Oh, yeah?
So, of course, I got it and started playing it.
Duh. Play it.
I mean, what am I going to do, play a new game? I doubt it.
How is it updated? I mean, because the aesthetic was amazing. Everything about it was amazing. What did they do to it to kind of bring it into the 2021 world?
Yeah, okay, so not a lot. Like, the polygons and stuff for the actual characters seem to have some smoothing out. It looks more like the PC version of the game, honestly, where it's like, okay, it's just a little smoother, a little less blocky. Not much past that. Still the same soundtrack and all that jazz. Still the same pre-rendered backgrounds and same FMV parts and all that jazz. But they added in a couple features that I think will please either returning gamers like myself that are just playing this for like nostalgia's sake and just to relax and rewind and enjoy something that I already know.
Yeah.
Or maybe also people that are kind of unfamiliar with old school RPGs like that, where you can get in random battles and these, summons that you do in battles take like 5 minutes and shit. Because, okay, for one, you can push in one of the sticks and it instantly makes the game run at 3 times speed.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So for like the summons and stuff
so
like that, it's
long.
great.
Nobody has patience for that anymore.
No, and it's cool the first time, and then like the 30th time that you cast Knights of the Round while you're trying to beat Ultimate Weapon is just the worst.
Yeah.
So they added in the speed up feature. They also added in another feature in there where you can turn off random battles while you're exploring an area. So if you don't want to get in random battles, you just click both sticks in and you won't get into random battles anymore.
I mean, I would like that on some level.
Yeah.
To just get to explore without worrying, but like, man, that's
part of the game.
That's kind of like the excitement of the game, right?
I know,
where it's
right?
Like everywhere you go, like if I cross that bridge, am I going into like level 20 monsters all of a sudden?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Dying a lot is part of the experience, I think.
I think so too, man. Especially if you're new to this game. I don't think you should be using these features if it's your first time playing it and you want to experience a classic. But there's also a feature in there where you click in one of the sticks and it's like instant God mode, where your character's like limit breaks are always maxed out, so you can do ultimate attacks, right at the start of a battle. Also, like your HP and MP just recharge instantly. So it's basically like God mode if you want to just blow through the game.
Just destroy everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's interesting that they put those updates in there and it's not like hidden or anything like that, but I don't know. I get it.
Yeah, that does make it. I mean, if you just want to get through the game because, you're more interested in the story, or if you just want to explore the whole world without worrying about getting into battles.
Yeah, exactly. You been doing any other video gaming?
Yeah. I also finally got to play Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm a huge fan of the Dragon Age series because I'm a big BioWare fan. Mass Effect, like those games are very high on my list of most beloved games. But also Dragon Age. But I hadn't gotten to play Dragon Age Inquisition, and I started playing it and immediately got re-obsessed with the whole world and started wondering if I could get a relationship going with Liliana again.
Look out.
In the first Dragon Age, Liliana's there and you can have a relationship with her, and she shows up in Dragon Age Inquisition, and I'm like, wait, is this going down again?
Oh,
what's up?
Oh, look out, man.
Yeah.
Now, do these games chronologically fall before or after Dragonheart featuring the voice of Sean Connery? Is it before or after these?
I believe it's after.
Okay.
I believe
Makes
Sean
sense
Connery may be the maker.
Oh, okay. Makes perfect sense.
That's a
now.
Dragon
Now I
Age
get it.
reference for anybody that gets it.
I've really been wondering how that movie holds up. I think it's on like HBO or
Dragonheart?
something right now. Yeah, I kind of want to go back and watch it. It's probably just
You should.
fucking horrible.
You know what you should do? Because I texted you the other day and asked you to give me a movie recommendation, and I would just watch it because I felt like I got into a rut. I think you do this probably about every episode. You'll say some random movie and be like, I should rewatch that. You should start rewatching those movies.
Maybe I should.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did do a little bit of that this week, and I'll cover that when I'm telling you about what movies I've been checking out.
Cool. I also, and this is, oh man, my life is a bit Sisyphean at times. I'm often just within grasp of things and then never able to actually get it.
Keep on pushing that rock, Steve. Just push on it.
And I talked about this, I probably at like the end of an episode at one point, but I tried to get into this game, Crusader Kings 2, which is basically like an extremely advanced civilization game.
Okay.
Where you have just so much ridiculous control. And it doesn't hold your hand through anything. So I tried to play it and I could not comprehend what I needed to do.
I remember you talking about this. It just kind of like drops you out, and it's just like, well, have fun.
It drops you into the middle of European history, 1066, and says, "All right, you're in charge. Do it." It's like, do what? Just do. Go. Anyway, so I was like, I'll watch somebody play it, and that'll like help me get it. So I was watching Miniature Nerd. I've talked about him before. He does Fallout runs a lot. He was playing Crusader Kings 2, so I started watching it, and I really started to get a feel of the game, and I was like, fuck yeah. So I went back to Steam, and I opened up the game, and it wouldn't open up. I was like, huh, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I uninstalled it and reinstalled it, wouldn't open up. So I go onto the forums, see what's going on. Apparently, the most recent Mac update made it so that you can't play Crusader Kings 2. So, this game that I wanted to play so bad, and then watch someone play, and then I was like, that is the raddest shit. I want to do that. I want to put out a plot against a baby who might have a claim on my throne. That sounds awesome. And then I go to play the game, and it says, fuck you, you have a Mac.
I'm just saying, hear me out. I don't think you ever had no troubles like this when Trump was president. Okay, I'm just saying.
Okay, that is technically true. Because when I tried to play it, Trump was president, and it worked just fine.
Damn it, dude. Look how quickly things have changed. It's all changed so fast, Steve.
What? I can't believe you did find one thing that was better.
Dang it.
Not much has changed, but not much was better. Yeah. Oh, the other great thing that happened, though, this week was Emily and I saved up our money and finally were able to get an elliptical. So,
ooh, you're a Lipton.
Been a Lipton like a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. It, we had this, like, rickety bike thing that sucked a lot and we never wanted to use, that we had borrowed from someone. And then they asked for it back, and we were like, "Oh, good, thank God, we don't want it in this home. We don't use it." And finally, we got. I had done a good bit of research. I realized we were gonna have to spend a bit of money, and finally found one that would fit in our small area, and also wouldn't be loud as hell.
Yeah.
And man, when I got it, I put it together, got on that thing. It was quiet as a whisper.
Ooh.
It was like, "You're doing so good.
This is good for your heart." Dude, I'll tell you what, man. I would love to have myself a stationary bike, but the problem is that I know that all these companies that are making them, you know, you got the Peloton, you got all these companies making these bikes and stuff now. Listen, man, I'm just too fucking hip. I'm too bougie to be a part of that kind of corporate culture. So
yeah.
I'm on the lookout for somebody that can make a good stationary penny farthing for home exercise use. So let me know if you come across one, because I want to get healthy and stay hip. You know what I mean?
I get it. You don't want to look like you're not up with the times.
Exactly. I need a stationary penny farthing, man. That's going to help me reach my goals.
You know what I've been doing on that elliptical, though, Ben?
Huh.
I've been watching a little show that you recommended to me and that we talked about on our most recent Patreon exclusive episode.
Yeah.
Raising Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yes. How's that getting to you? Is it getting good?
Man, it's so good.
It's the best. Are you still in the first season, or have you made it past?
I'm almost at the end of the first season.
Okay, awesome, man. Yes, so very good. We've been watching through it as well, just because we started talking about it, and we did that episode on it and everything, and we just been blowing through it. It's just the easiest, like, we need 20 minutes of fun. We know this is going to be good and funny. We watched an episode after we watched the subject of today's movie because it's so heavy, where it's just like, I need a little pick-me-up before I go to bed. Let's just watch another episode of Raising Hope.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad, like, so, by the way, we've changed our Patreon thing to now we're just recommending shows to each other and then watching them, and then the person who's being introduced to the show decides if they would continue watching the show.
Yeah.
So this was our first episode, Raising Hope, and that spoiler for that episode, I loved it. So I really was immediately gratified in that idea. Like, immediately was like, this is a good idea, because Ben introduced me to a show that I should have been watching this whole fucking time.
Word, man. I'm glad that you're liking it, dude.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody, stay tuned. Next month, Ben's going to be watching The Boys for the first time. So we'll be talking about that.
Here's a prediction. It's going to be the first and the last. I ain't watching some show just because you want me to do it. You can't tell me how to live my life. You don't own me, boy, man. You and your boy show.
That's true. Me and my boys show. You know what they say about that show, The Boys? It's only about men.
Yep. Yeah, last night we watched the one with the cousin and all the sister, or not sister husbands, brother husbands, whatever, co-husbands.
Uh-huh.
And it was just so fucking fun. You've gotten to there, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't.
Okay, cool. That's a good one to look forward to. There's still a lot of really funny stuff coming up for you there.
Yeah, the Amy Sedaris episode was really funny.
Oh my god, she's amazing. Her partially successful areola reduction surgery. I love when Bert's describing it with the fried eggs at the end. Is like, the left one looked like this, it was fine, and then the right one was more like this, and he like just destroys it with his fork. God, dude, it's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's a great show. What have you been watching? You watch anything else?
Okay, I've watched a bunch of movies this week, and like I said, it's kind of funny that you mentioned me saying I should rewatch that. I've actually been going back and rewatching some stuff that I know I saw way back in the day and just have been inspecting for quality. Okay, starting with probably the best way to spend a Sunday afternoon at home. It's going to be by watching Con Air with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yeah?
Because it is a treasure. Holy shit.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, we watched Face Off a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of like, well, this wasn't, I mean, it was good, but it was like ridiculous, you know? Con Air, dude, I swear, if you can watch Con Air and not have a good time, you are not a fun person. You're not a fun.
Well, I could see some people not having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Non-fun people. People with fun
got
restrictions.
Some issues. But it's wild. It's
dude,
got everybody in it too.
Everybody is in it. And dude, Nicolas Cage's southern accent is so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
It's horrendous. I don't even know why they tried. It was just bad. Like, what southern is that?
I don't know. You got John Malkovich. Seeing John Malkovich in like an evil role? Give me more of those.
Yeah. I think he's done a few, hasn't he?
Yeah, he needs to do more. More like that.
He needs more, okay.
More of that, yeah.
Of course, the best Malkovich role is being John Malkovich, though. Clearly. So maybe he needs to do more roles where he's John Malkovich.
I mean, I also loved him in Burn After Reading, where he's talking about my memoirs. What shit? He's such a fucking moron. That movie's so good, man.
Yeah, it is.
I love that one.
It is.
So I also rewatched one from my childhood, my days as a Ute, because I know that this movie sure did make me laugh. It made me probably pee my pants a little bit when I was a child, and I decided to see if it'd do the same as a grown-ass man. Update, it does. Peed all over my pants while I was watching The Naked Gun, because that's on Netflix right now. Oh, man.
Awesome. Yeah, it's on Netflix, right? Yeah.
Yep, and it's still so fucking funny. And there's so much dumb stuff in there that I just forgot about, like, every time he's pulling up somewhere in his car, he just like plows into whatever is in front of him, like cars and people and just what the fuck ever. God, dude. Yeah. So it's actually got me like really wanting to go back and rewatch, you know, like Hot Shots and like like Airplane and fuck, what's the baseball one that I'm thinking of? Major League.
Major League's not a spoof though.
Yeah, but it's just like a funny movie from that era.
It is a funny
you know?
movie, though. Yeah.
So good. Naked Gun, still fucking hilarious. Also watched another one that I hadn't watched, man alive, since probably a few years after it came out, dude. I found that, I think on HBO, they were showing American Pie. And I was like, you know what? Let's just see how this is holding up and invest some time into watching this movie. You know, I'll tell you what. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in there that has not aged delicately.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Definitely.
But it is kind of funny watching it now, like as, you know, probably twice the age that I was whenever I watched it the first time, if not more. Because, like, the first time that I watched it when it came out, and this is one of those movies, man, that, like, if you're a young person and you watch that movie now, you will not see what the big deal is. But whenever that movie came out, it was so, like, shockingly vulgar, and it was teens dealing with sex, and it was so, like, over the top and nasty back then. But, like, by today's standards, it's really not that bad. But it was kind of funny because whenever I watched that movie anyway, for the first time, as like an innocent, just an innocent Ute, you watch it and you're just like, oh man, it's just like a horny teenage sex comedy about everybody trying to get laid and stuff like that. And the thing about it is when you go back and rewatch it now, it's actually pretty different because you realize that it's like all about the ridiculous expectations that we as young people had about sex and how it wasn't at all realistic whatsoever. So it's kind of funny because like I said, you can watch it now and you see these kids as being like, oh yeah, these are kids that have no idea what actual sex and actual relationships are. Everything they know, they just learned from like porno mags and stuff. So it's actually kind of interesting to go back and rewatch it. I would recommend it, honestly.
Okay.
Especially coming after all those chats that we had on like our porno episode and stuff like that. I think it might be a good timing for you to watch that one again.
Go check that one out. All right.
I'm not going to say it was great or anything, but it was definitely interesting.
Worth looking at as a piece of history.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Continuing on with what we started last week, we watched City Slickers 2 the other night.
Oh, okay, yeah. Did y'all find Curly's gold? Or
Found it. Finded it, man, and it was a delight. It was a delightful movie. I really enjoyed it. It was just a good old fun time right there. It's kind of what it needed to be for a sequel. And I'll tell you what, man, I'm hoping that I can keep my exercise routine going enough to where I can develop that tight bod that probably mid-40s Billy Crystal had in that movie. He's in great shape.
Billy Crystal's been mid-40s since he was
forever.
Born.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right, man. Pretty sure you're right. But yeah, it was one of those like real like, what am I moments where I'm watching this movie and there's like a sex scene with Billy Crystal in his mid-40s at the top of this movie, and I'm like, all right. I was like, man, he's in great shape.
Billy thick.
I'd like to look like that. It's like, dude, you've let yourself go, Ben. You've let yourself go. One of these days, I'm going to be in a movie without my shirt on, and everybody's going to say, that's about what I expected. Or they'll go, a little hairier, though. A little hairier than I thought.
A little hairier than I thought he might be.
Yeah. We also watched a movie with the old Aubrey Plaza in it called Black Bear. Have you seen this?
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I do remember her like promoting it at some point.
Yeah, it's a weird. I'll tell you that. It is a weird. It's definitely one of those ones that you should watch when you're feeling too good and too stress-free. You know, when you're like, I could deal with feeling stressed out and angry at characters. You know, you should watch this. So whenever you're feeling that next, give Black Bear a watch. Because it is kind of like a stress fest watch, and it is like very artsy and fart sniffy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Like, it's all kind of, I don't even know how to describe it without, like, spoiling it or anything like that. But it's all kind of like the fine line between art and inspiration and which comes first and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of interesting from that perspective because it's kind of about filmmaking and basing stories on actual experiences and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of like when did life end and when did art begin? It's that kind of thing, you know?
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. So interesting but stressful.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like a date night movie.
For sure. Fun times. Fun times. And the other thing that we watched this week, which was one that we had been meaning to watch for a long time, but kind of knew due to subject matter and family tree and stuff like that, would probably be a pretty brutal watch. And we were not wrong, but it was absolutely fucking exceptional, man. Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, yeah, you finally watched it. Okay.
Incredible, man.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
So good. Yeah, I really, really liked it. You saw it like a while back, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw it a while ago. Man, yeah, it is crushing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is very, very crushing and you know, again, super relevant because like without getting too totally, you know, in the weeds about it, like Kate's grandmother on her mom's side, Oma, who's the fucking greatest woman that's ever lived, she was a teenager during World War II in Berlin. And the somewhat limited amount of stories that she has told us about that time, I mean, we've all kind of had to sort of piece it together bit by bit, because obviously she doesn't like talking about it very much.
Yeah.
But man alive, she and her family went through a hell of a fucking time. And, basically the scene at the end of the movie when the city's getting, kind of destroyed and stuff, like, Oma's family's apartments got bombed 3 times. Like, came home, the apartment's been firebombed again. Like, time to move, time to start over. They did this 3 times during the war when she was a teenager. And, they have family that as young kids were drafted into the Hitler Youth, which this movie is portraying and stuff. So it was one of those deals where I was like, I know, especially the top of this movie is very fictionalized and silly and stuff in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It gets real later on.
It does get real. Yeah, it's exploring stuff that people have swept under the rug about World War II. Like, it's exploring the perspective of the average everyday German.
Yeah.
Just being in that, being part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps not supporting it. And the radicalization of young men.
Yeah, indoctrination. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hard
brutal,
to
man.
watch, for sure. But also, I mean,
fantastic.
Charming in a lot of ways and fantastic.
Yeah, dude. Taika Waititi, man, he knocked it out of the park. And seeing him as Hitler was amazing and hilarious. And then, like, again, towards the end, really scary and very convincing. And man, it's good. It's heavy, dude. I think, like, by the time we got to the credits and it's playing, like, the German language version of Heroes by David Bowie.
Right.
I mean, we're just like fucking coming unglued. Like, it's not one of those ones that I'm going to like watch again anytime soon.
No, it was hard.
It's hard. It's definitely hard. And like I said, just especially knowing that like there are plenty of people that are alive right now that remember being there for that. Like, and then seeing the dumbass shit that we have repeated.
Yep.
Where it's like neo-Nazism is back on the rise. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't know. It's one of those things that, I was watching the movie and I was just like, I really wish that this all happened much, much, much longer ago. Because the fact that people are still reliving and heroizing, re-worshipping Nazi ideologies.
Yeah.
This close to when it happened the first time is fucking pathetic. It's pathetic.
It is pathetic. Yeah.
Man.
Absolutely.
What a movie, though. It really, really, really was fantastic. So really, really enjoyed that. And that's one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time.
I watched one that you recommended to me. You had not seen. Just one that you and Kate had watched the preview of, I think.
Just heard tell of it is all.
Yeah. Oh, you heard tell of it. Okay.
I did.
Super Dark Times.
Yeah.
On the Shudder. Boy. Talk about hard to watch.
Is it?
In similar ways. Just real rough moments. I was squirming, wriggling in my seat at times, just feeling everything those characters are going through. So, boy, it's a tough watch for sure.
Mm-hmm. Is it the feel bad hit of the summer?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I would compare it to Mean Creek. It's set in the 90s, so it's got a particular vibe to it that works well.
Is it like accurately 90s, or is it like everybody's chugging Surge and
I think it's accurate. I think it's pretty accurately 90s. They didn't go wild with the fashion or anything. Everybody just kind of looks like they would have looked in the 90s. But it's it's a tough watch. But it's also, I think, some real good performances in there, especially the protagonist. Can't remember his name or the actor's name, but fucking good job, guy.
Way to go, buddy.
It was awesome. You did a really, really good job. But yeah, I think it's worth a watch for sure. it is one of those though. Yeah, you're gonna have to be prepared for some rough stuff.
You're going to want to leave time to watch some Raising Hope afterwards.
Yes. Yep,
Couple
that's exactly
episodes.
what I did afterward. I was like, I need to cleanse the palate.
Just liven it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I think would liven me up a little bit right now, Steve?
What would it do? What
I think throwing old cold beer right in my face.
Yeah, that
Slam
sounds
dunking
delicious.
one. What do you think?
I would like to do that myself. I got me a beer here.
Beer. Yeah, I've got me one too. I got myself a co-beer. Today, I am going to be drinking a Equilibrium Brewing. This is their MC2 or MC squared, you might even say. This is their double India Pale Ale. It's an 8%er, and I got this at Corks in the Old City in Knoxville, and this is great. Like, we had the Equilibrium, I think it was, what was it called? C or E? It was just like a letter. Their pale ale.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was great.
Holy moly, it's so good. And so I had really high expectations for this one. I think I actually liked the pale ale one better. Maybe because it was more of just like a shock of just like, holy shit, it's just a really hoppy pale ale. This is great. This is a little bit more what you would predict. It's a double IPA, so it's very like apricot plus tangerine-y, you know, it's kind of juicy for sure. Really, really fucking good, though.
Would you say it tastes like mass times the speed of light squared?
Oh, for sure, without a doubt. I mean, that's the first thing I would say is notes of that stuff.
That's awesome. I got me a Maine beer company Peeper Pale Ale.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. The 5.5%er, so just a good sipping beer.
It is. I've had that one right there, and typical of Maine Brewing Company beers, it is extremely balanced, not just a palate destroyer, and that is one of those ones where you'll drink it and just be like, you know what? That's got that classic beer flavor.
Yeah, I got it poured out here, and it is weirdly pale.
Yes, very pale.
And get me a sip on this here.
See what that does for you. This thing I've got right here is nicely cloudy, not super, super, super dense or anything like that. Got a little bit of foam on top of it, and the smell is just wafting towards my face, and this beer is itching to get down my throat.
All right. Okay, balanced, obviously, is exactly what I want to say. They are amazing at this. Maine Beer Company just nails everything.
Yep.
It's a pale ale. Like, it tastes clean. It tastes a little hoppy. It's like, I don't know. It's like bright. That's how
exactly
I would
describe it.
Bright.
Too.
It's bright.
Yep. And again, you could have that with a meal for sure. Like, I think some nice grilled chickens, some grilled chicken parts, like body parts from the chicken that were cooked on a grill. That'd be great.
Definitely go well with like something light, like poultry. Yeah. Man, good stuff.
Maine Brewing Company makes a clean-ass beer. That's some cab. That's some clean-ass beer. That's what I'll say about them.
Yeah. I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, get your hands on some Equilibrium if you can find it anywhere. Like, I've had this one and the other one that I was talking about, and they are 2 for 2. They make a really tasty, tasty beer.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have not been drinking much, as we talked about. And I think last week, the beer we had was a little bit higher gravity. By the end of that episode, I was a little, like, inebriated.
Yeah?
I felt like,
Just a little shot? I feel that, man. Dude, I'm telling you, since, like, the first of the year, you know, I've been doing my 2-drink limit and stuff, and it is amazing how quickly you get out of practice, and also how brutal a hangover can be when you don't, you know, practice. Well, you know, Steve, we were just talking about that Super Dark Times. That sounds like a heavy duty watching kind of movie, and so is the topic of today's episode, His House. This is not one of those feel-good family hits that you're just gonna go to as a comfort food kind of movie. You know, there's a lot of movies out there that I would call uncomfort food. Right? Uncomfort food. You know, when you're just like, I don't really want to feel comfortable. I want to feel really bogged down by themes of grief and regret and all that kind of stuff. Guilt.
Trauma.
Yeah, just all the most uncomfortable of topics. Sometimes you just want to go to there, I guess. So, Steve, I say, before we get on to the movie review, let's go ahead and just take a little detour here into a super depressing Preview Palace.
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
Hi. That was Ross Geller.
Hi.
From Ben Eller to Ross
depressing.
Geller. And I just want to give our dead and lovely listeners here, we could call it a list of warnings, or we could call it a list of recommendations. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, I think it's recommendations, but it definitely, this is like a warning for the recommendation.
I think so. And also a warning, too. We might venture into some light spoiler territory as we get into these, but none of these are really new. None of these on our list are like super new flicks or anything like that, so you've probably heard of these at least, so take that into consideration. This is a list of movies that we kind of compiled here that we think of those as, those feel-bad hits. Those movies that you just want to go to whenever you want to feel your feelings,
Yeah. And sometimes you really do. Sometimes you just want to get into it. So these definitely will get you there.
Yeah, including the one that we're going to start the list off with here. We need to talk about Kevin. Now, this is a movie that
What about
we
Kevin?
saw. We need to talk about him.
Okay.
Do you mind if we do it right now?
Okay. What about him? Like, is he okay?
Not exactly. Kevin's got some issues, especially with Ma, his old Meemaw in this.
Is that right?
He's got some troubles there with what's her name?
Oh shit! If you hadn't asked me your name,
I
would
know.
have said it.
God
what
damn
just
it.
happened? God damn it!
I smell burnt toast. Do you smell burnt toast?
Tilda Swinton.
Are we having strokes?
Tilda
That's
Swinton.
her. Exactly.
Oh my god! That came to me from the universe. I really put my hands up, and for some reason,
beamed it down.
Boom! Came to
me. He's got some trouble with old Tilda Swinton in this movie, and it's one of those ones that, like, I don't know if you'd call it horror exactly, but it fucking creeped me the fuck out.
I think it's horror, but I'd say some people would maybe call it thriller because they don't like. There's a lot of people want horror to have some very particular, like, horrific element that involves
like a supernatural element or something. And this is a very real movie. There's nothing about this
extremely real, and that's I think what that's the horror of it, is how, like, real and unacceptably relatable it has to be. Since I don't want to fucking ruin it, because I know a lot of people have not seen this.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say, like, the thing I could say about it that's not, like, spoiler territory, like anything you could get from watching the trailer for this, I'm going to say it's, like, a really uncomfortable cousin to, like, The Omen.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. Yep. That's a good relatable way to look at it.
Yeah. We saw it in the theater whenever it came out, because we were just, thrilled to watch a new Tilda Swinton movie. And the trailer for it looked really cool. And we went and saw it in the theater, and we were like, and we're never having kids. Definitely not ever having kids. Ever. Just not doing it.
So you're saying this is good for contraception as well?
I'm pretty sure that Planned Parenthood was behind this movie, is what I'm saying.
I actually think every movie on our list is probably good for contraception in some way or another.
I think they're all going to, just kind of give you the message of just like, you know what the world doesn't need? More people.
Kids, yeah.
Especially kids.
Yeah. So,
we should do that on the podcast sometime. We need to talk about Kevin. Yes. Is that dark one. Actually, I think I know the perfect time we could do it. So it's coming up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would actually, I'd love to do that, because that one's, man, so dark.
Yeah.
Another one on our list that we in fact have talked about, the Babadook.
Oh yeah, This is a very, very fucking cool movie.
Yeah, definitely deals with grief and things, but what you see throughout is her being driven insane by the guilt she feels for the hatred she has for her child, because she knows he's not to blame for the death of her husband, but she still blames him.
Yeah. Ooh, man. Yeah. It is like a good, multifaceted look at grief and depression, and what depression not only does to the person going through it, but the way it makes, I'm going to say us, because I'm a person that has it. It makes us lash out at people around us as if they were the source of the problems.
Right.
Man alive. No, it's a hard watch. It is not like a good one to decompress and take in. It is Stress Fest 9000 and also scary as fuck.
Yeah, it's so good. Man, I love that movie. And it's one that we covered pretty early on in the show, I think. And it's I've seen it more than probably more than any of the other movies on our list.
Yeah.
As hard as it is to watch, it's so compelling to me. It's just so relatable. Like it all, like, so much of it I can connect to, even though it's a very extreme example of a person like having, a lot of confluence of things that really just do happen to people. But I've never had something so traumatic and terrible happen in my life like that. But still relatable in a lot of ways.
Oh, for sure, man. And especially, I think, very relatable if you know somebody who goes through depression and stuff. You'll probably get some good insight into what their world is like. So it can be a good learning experience even if you don't relate to it. And I think it's actually one of the better episodes of our show. So if you go way back in the archives, check out episode 56 of our award-deserving podcast.
Wow. So that was year 2.
Man alive. We were just babes in the woods.
This is episode 200 of our podcast?
This is?
Yeah.
Holy shit, no, I didn't.
It's a celebration.
Look at that. Celebrate episode 200 of Dead and Lovely. Yeah, so go back and check that one out. Another one that I want to put on this list of just Debbie Downer, brutal, hard to watch flicks, man. You mentioned it earlier when you were talking about Super Dark Times there. Mean Creek is a movie that I don't know hardly anybody that has seen. This movie was introduced to us by our good friend Brandon Suttles. He watched this movie when he was in college, I think, and was just like, man, you guys will not believe this movie. He's like, I'm not going to tell you anything about it. We're not going to watch a trailer. You just need to watch this movie because, for one, the kids in it are unbelievable. It's probably the best child acting I've ever seen, period.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Dude, it is crushing. It's one of it's one of the feel baddest movies I think that I've about ever seen, man. But it's
also amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you, by the end of the movie, you'll probably forget that you're watching a movie. Like, it really just feels like you
just feel wrapped in it.
Yeah. It feels more like a documentary than anything.
Yeah.
Really, really cool, and I recommend checking that one out. One that we've got here on our list that was a big surprise for me because it has some of the elements that we talked about, but it also has a good level of funnies in it as well. It's a really nice bittersweet mixture. And it's a movie that Kate and I went and saw at the Downtown West movie theater in Knoxville, our art theater that we have down here.
Art theater, yeah.
Back when we could go to movies, which was awesome, and I've really been fucking missing lately. Going to see a fucking movie.
Me too.
Just on a whim, just based on the poster and the cast and stuff like that, we went and watched In Bruges whenever it came out, and I think it was like a cold January day, if I'm not mistaken. And we sat here and watched this movie, and we're just blown away. And again, I don't know a lot of people that have watched In Bruges, and it's so good.
I love it. It's one of my wife's favorite films for sure. We've watched it several times together. She loves Colin Farrell in it. It does. It mixes humor and really, really dark shit together so perfectly well. But it's also dealing with a real guilt-inducing situation. I mean, to see an assassin, I don't want to reveal too much, but to see an assassin feel guilty about something and to know, like, he's starting to, like, process things. It's real interesting to just see how that all plays out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the acting and stuff in it by him, and is it Brendan Gleeson?
Yeah. Man, Brendan Gleeson.
They're both just fantastic. And old Mad Eye Moody himself.
Mad Eye Moody, yeah. Yeah, it's also got Fleur Delacour in it.
Oh, does it? That's right. I forgot about that.
She's the chick.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Huh. It's been too long since I watched it, but I really, really do enjoy that flick a lot, man.
Yeah, Emily and I rewatched it not that long ago, and it's still great. Still very funny.
You know, I'm just gonna toss in just some gigantic sort of baskets to throw some of these movies into because, you know, I feel like grief porn is kind of the genre that's gotten thrown around in like horror and stuff a lot lately.
Right.
But the thing is like whenever that really started getting to be a thing in the horror genre, I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Lars Van Trier and Gaspar Noé have been doing this for fucking decades.
Yeah, it's not new. It's been going on for a while. Like Antichrist, about a couple grieving the loss of a child, and you know the blame and anger and all the things that go on with that. Like,
oh man.
Yeah, and then Gaspar Noé. I mean, Irreversible.
Holy shit, man.
Yikes.
Yeah, like these guys have been doing that genre. I shudder to say better than anybody. It's more like worse than anybody because these movies...
they've been really wallowing in the grief.
I mean, these movies just make you feel like, fuck, let's just go ahead and go to bed early and see if tomorrow is any better. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I don't really know why anyone wants to watch them, honestly, because they are just... I mean, wallowing
to
in
see
bad
Willem
feelings.
Dafoe's dick.
I mean, I get that. That I get.
Which confused Lars von Trier. We've talked about this before, right?
That guy's got a hog on him, doesn't he?
He was confused by it. Yeah. Because it was so big. That's insane.
Dude.
Anyway. Yeah. So, yeah. But, I mean, somebody who, I guess, does that extremely well is Ari Aster.
Yeah,
with
in the horror genre.
Hereditary and Midsommar, both dealing with guilt at the, you know, loss of a child, the loss of family, etc. Like he's real good at exploring it, I would say.
Oh yeah, I am so excited to see what else we get out of him. We've sung the praises of Hereditary and Midsommar. They both got mini episodes and full blown episodes too, so be sure to check those out.
Just
some of our better
them,
episodes.
Honestly.
Yeah, because that guy really. I feel like that guy really gets the depth of human emotion and what humans go through whenever they've been in bad situations in ways that we don't typically see.
He also made great casting choice there with Toni Collette in Hereditary. Just the absolute crime of the century that she did not get an Academy Award for that.
I'll always hold that against the Academy Awards. Like the fact that she didn't win everything ever. Come the fuck off it, man. Like, name a better performance from anybody, male or female, that year. It doesn't even matter. She absolutely knocked it out of the park. And, those movies are, like you said, just a great exploration of everything that we've been talking about so far. Rough watches, but they're also just so fucking masterful and so perfectly made that I will watch those anytime, you know?
Yeah, I'm with you. Even though they are disturbing as hell.
Oh my God, yeah. Absolutely so, man. And, you know, there's a couple of other ones I could just kind of sprinkle on top here that I would kind of put into this category. You know, Doubt with old Meryl Streep in there.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Woo, that's a heavy one right there, as is, like, The Hurt Locker. I think The Hurt Locker deals with some of the, I'm going to say, like, PTSD kind of things that we see explored in his house. Of what it's like to go to, you know, quote, peaceful society after being through a war-torn, highly intense environment. Man, The Hurt Locker is one of those that really does just fucking punch you in the gut. That's not one of those ones I'm ready to watch again anytime soon.
As I understand it, soldiers call it war porn and say it is not accurate in the least bit. And that's not the way
really
to portray. Yeah, no, there's no way any of the actions he take would be allowed at any point. Yeah. So it's not an accurate portrayal. It's not weird either when you find out that Catherine Bigelow also directed Zero Dark 30. She obviously seems to be way into rah-rahing torture and war porn.
Huzzah!
Yeah, but it's extremely well acted and well developed. Like, if the story's not accurate, I mean, that's fine. if you're not actually saying we're accurately depicting war, if you're just saying like this is a story, as a story, it fucking you were so in his mind, and also you really feel that like just the inability to connect basically that he has.
Well, I'll tell you,
of
like,
all the shit he's gone through.
With that movie, it's not even the war parts that really punch me in the gut. I mean, there's really fucked up stuff, and that's, I'm sure, where a lot of the fictionalization that you're talking about comes in. It was the scenes of him just, like, trying to go back to normal life. Like, there's that scene where he's, like, on the frozen food aisle of the grocery store, and it's just, like, it's the most boring scene ever, and for some reason, it just really fucking destroyed me, because I'm like, I know a lot of people who have, been in the military and been in the shit and come back, and it's just like, how are you supposed to... Oh, man, just snap back to normal life after that. It's so fucked up the way we treat our soldiers when they return, man. It's not fair to them at all. No,
it's way fucked up. Yes, and then definitely, that desire to get back to purpose is something that, we as civilians don't fully understand, but you can still get it. Like, that... When you feel like you have a purpose and suddenly it's taken from you and you're back to just nothing. Like, who are you? What are you supposed to be now?
Brutal.
And you're not, like, no one puts any sort of respect on the stuff that you've done other than to say they respect the soldiers. But they're not doing anything about it. I mean, it's got to be real rough, I would imagine. So,
it portrays that side of it.
Yeah, extremely
I think
well.
very, very well, which makes it brutal, man. And I look forward to hearing about your all's feel-bad go-tos. When you're just feeling too good and you need to just feel a little bit worse about your day, I want to know what you watch. So be sure to let us know about those over on the Facebook group. That way I can either, steer towards them when I'm having a great day or steer the hell away from them. When I'm not having a great day. That'd be good. Again, it's a precautionary thing or a recommendation. I don't know. It's both. So let us know about those over on the Facebook group. What's that URL, Steve?
Facebook.com/Dead and Lovely.
What else would it be?
There.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
If you're a Facebooker.
Yeah, that's right, man. Which you shouldn't be. None of us should be.
I definitely wouldn't be if it weren't for the Facebook group.
Oh, yeah. It's the best thing about Facebook.
But I do love that Facebook group.
Yeah, people are saying it. I'm hearing it. People are saying it. It is the best part about Facebook. So you don't want to miss out on it.
That's true.
I'll tell you that.
Hey, everybody. Hollywood Steve here. I was on the Jack of All Graves podcast this week with Corey and Mark, and we talked a whole bunch of nonsense, some fun stuff about the Dyatlov Pass incident, Max Headroom incident. It was fun. Go check it out. It's an hour plus well spent.
Now, Steve, we've got bad feelings aplenty in the subject of today's episode, which is whose house? Is it Run's house? Is it Eureka's castle?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
Wait, wouldn't that be a crazy twist? If at the end of this, they were like, it was Eureka's castle the whole time.
All along, it was Eureka's castle. But instead... It's his house, which is a direct-to-Netflix movie that you watched a little while back.
Yeah.
And I just watched for the first time last night, and I was just plumb blown away.
Yeah, I would wonder what the direct-to-Netflix label means to you, because it did come out during the pandemic.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have gone anywhere anyway. It had to go somewhere. Or they could have delayed it, but then, what's the point?
That's true.
You need to get it out there. I think like, there was a distribution deal at one point for it with the Weinstein Company that was unsigned, and then they backed out of it because they did not want to be associated with the Weinstein Company, I assume.
Yeah. Good for them.
But
Fuck them.
But yeah, they sold it early in the year in January. But this is the interesting thing, because like you say, direct to Netflix, they did sell the distribution in January to Netflix. Now, we kind of knew about Corona in January, so I'm wondering if that's what happened. Like, they were like, oh, we know theater is going to be shut down. We're going to go with this distribution model, or what was there like something going on where like because they rejected the Weinstein Company, were other companies reluctant to work with them?
That's a good question. Yeah, like, did they fucking blacklist him for turning it down or what?
Yeah, so like when you say direct to Netflix, I'm wondering if that matters anymore. Like, does it matter?
Yeah, especially
like,
during the age of COVID, yeah.
Yeah, like, does it matter anymore if a movie even gets theatrical release? Like, does that speak in any way to its quality or even its budget? Like, I found a $17 million budget for this, and I was like, yeah, that seems about appropriate for this movie. So, like, I think after COVID now, we're going to probably be looking at any sort of distribution as equal. Like, if you get into a theater, cool, I'll go see it. If not, cool, I assume same level of quality.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? And I think it's like... partially because we grew up in the era where direct to VHS meant
that was negative.
This is garbage. Yeah, it's like nobody's gonna watch this in a theater, but we got to put it out. So whatever, direct to VHS. Like that used to be such a diss, and it's easy to look at direct to streaming stuff as being that same kind of like marker of quality. But dude, there's been so many absolutely fantastic, direct to streaming things that we've seen even pre-COVID. I mean, a lot of the biggest pieces of media that people have watched, period, whether you're talking about Game of Thrones
direct
or
to streaming.
Yeah, Stranger Things, like these are direct to streaming things. That is not at all a mark of the quality.
Game of Thrones does have they're on HBO.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? There's other stuff.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, like Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu, they have some of the best shows.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's really a marker of quality or anything anymore. Interesting point.
So I think, I was wondering about that too, because, it was like, obviously it's coming out during the pandemic, but when I started researching, it's like, well, they sold it at Sundance in January, so that had to either something like COVID was playing into it, or it really was like you piss off the Weinstein Company, you kind of piss off a lot of the other people who are at Sundance buying movies.
Right, yeah, your movie's not getting picked up now.
Yeah, so I'm glad Netflix picked it up, and I'm glad it got, because I'd say Netflix probably has the most subscribers of any of the services. So it got in front of a lot of eyes, and people need to see this movie, because it not only is it amazing, but it also has really great message, and really, like, I think will help a lot of us deal with some of the guilt we will feel when we're through the pandemic.
No doubt.
Even though we can't do anything, we can't, other than wear a mask and not go out, you still feel like all these people died for no reason.
Right,
and we could have done something.
Sure. Yeah, this definitely deals a lot with that kind of survivor's guilt is a big theme through this movie, which is basically about a couple that seeks asylum, that are refugees from all the conflict in Sudan. They go to London, and they are haunted by the literal ghosts of their past as they are put into public housing and try to adapt and assimilate into their new lives.
And it's man, I mean, so we start with the Sudan part. I mean, this does not stress much about introducing us to the conflict in Sudan. It just assumes what's going on.
And I'm just going to put out there as a note too, and this is something that this movie really opened my eyes towards, so this is an automatic, like, this is effective, this served a purpose. I'm absolutely ignorant about anything going on in Sudan. Like, it's one of those things that me living on this side of the world, I'm very insulated from it, and I have no idea what's going on. And the fact that this movie didn't spoon feed me anything about what's going on over there is fantastic. I think the fact that there were,
need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Find out about it.
Because there could have been a part in there where there's like, they're at the immigration office, and there's some guy that's like, oh, they come over here from Sudan? How come? Why would they want to do that? Well, because
we
there's
all know
been blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's
blah,
just like
yeah.
dumb exposition machine shit that would be doing the work for me. This movie really made me go, there is real shit going on in the world right now. The UN has called the conflict in Sudan like the greatest human crisis on Earth right now. Like, it's bad. It's really, really bad. And I'm clueless about it.
Well, I mean, it's deep, man. It goes way back. It has to do with imperial rule. Basically, in Sudan, you're talking about a bunch of tribal warfare being stoked on by religious warfare, and also being essentially put into the ring by imperialism and the discovery of oil in South Sudan.
That's a lot of bad taste combined as one.
Yeah, it's well worth researching. I mean, I'd say most people remember Coney 2012, but don't know what it was about. They remember hearing about Darfur, but don't really know what it was about.
Yep, same. That's me. I mean, like, I really am ignorant as shit about it.
Read up on it, because it's deep. There's so much to say, and this is not the. I mean, I researched it and I wrote down notes, but the thing is, this movie is not exclusively about Sudan. This movie is about the experience of people seeking asylum.
Yeah.
It's the refugee experience. That's why it doesn't go deep on the Sudan. Because it's like you learn that on your own. What we're talking about is the experience of refugees in general.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How their, culture clashes, and how the things they've escaped and the guilt and remorse they feel and all the things that come with them are then thrown into a cold bureaucracy that doesn't look at them sympathetically at any point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And even though this is taking place in the UK, it's like this should be a movie that affects Americans who are widely pretty unsympathetic towards refugee situations.
We still got those kids in cages Biden said he was going to let on day one.
Still got those. Yeah,
Somebody
that's kind of a problem.
explain to me how that is day one later? Are we not on day one yet?
Yeah, day one of what year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
We're I mean, the thing is, you couldn't set this in America, because if you did, the movie would be about how brutal Americans are. It would not be, because the cold British bureaucracy of it serves as kind of just a foil to everything else that's going on. Like, they're not the focus. If you put it in America, the focus would be, oh, we're in cages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And two, like, I think the typical American outlook on people that are refugees, people that are seeking asylum from, a war-torn homeland, I think to a lot of us over here, it's just like, oh, their country's all fucked up and they want to come over here and take my stuff. And it's just like, you don't really think about what that must be like, man. It's like, I know that through the orange shitbag administration, you and I had complaints every single fucking week and all that sort of stuff, but like, this country has never been a fucking war zone that I have needed to escape to save my own life. I've never dodged mortar fire, And again, this kind of goes back to some of the stuff I was saying about Jojo Rabbit. Like, even just seeing the destruction of that town at the end of that movie made it more real to me. That's just like, hey, like 2 generations ago from my wife was a refugee, Like, Oma came over here trying to get away from the madness of post-World War II Germany and stuff. It made it way more real to me. Yeah. And I think watching this movie and seeing that multifaceted thing, that it's just like, it's not just that people are like, hey, my country sucks, I want to leave. It's like, you're literally talking about people scrambling for their lives, trying to get out anywhere just so they can fucking be human beings and live. And then not only just the culture shock of being dropped halfway across the earth to this completely different society and having to try to adapt to that and assimilate, but also having the PTSD of going through what they've been through, as well as the guilt of surviving that and thinking of all the people that didn't get to make it, I can't even imagine it, dude. Like, it's one of those deals that, like I said, I know we have stuff to complain about. I know America could be doing a lot better than it is. It could be doing a whole lot better.
But we're not in a war zone.
Holy fuck, are we ever lucky?
With those same problems that a lot of people are, and we should welcome them and help them because we are not as bad off. Like, it's so fucking crazy that we, like, people... But... I mean, this movie portrays this as a universal problem, or at least a universally white people problem, because their neighbors are not welcoming. And I mean, you know, some people are nice to them, but most people are very mean to them and rude. It's an issue of just the other and not relating. And also, I mean, she says it. Whenever they have that, like, he goes to the office and he's obviously, like, going through something, and so Matt Smith and the other guy show up, and she comes out dressed, like, traditionally African, you know, in quotes, as, like, she's trying to play a part for them, and she says, this is what they want. They like to see us crazy, makes them feel like big men. They don't want to be reminded that it is them that are weak. So that's what the refugee represents to these people who hate them. The reminder that you as a person aren't as strong as them. You couldn't do what they did. And you're mad about it. Because they remind you of how weak you are. You can't avoid the reality that you don't have it in you.
Man, it's brutal. It's definitely brutal. And dude, one thing that this movie kept making me think of with its subject matter and with the way that, you know, as is typical in refugee situations, like, once you arrive in your, you know, new country, you're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to generate income.
It's ridiculous.
For a set amount of time. Which is
fucking ridiculous.
It's bound to cause problems and stuff. The thing that this kept reminding me of, man, that really hits home for anybody that's been around, you know, good old Knoxville, Tennessee here. Our man Yassine that started Yassine's Falafel House. Which great is, now 2 locations in Knoxville. Absolutely fucking unbelievable Syrian food. I'm telling you, I tell everybody, if you're coming to Knoxville, one of your meals is going to be Yassine's. Make it a priority. Not only because he's just one of the greatest, you know, assets the human race has ever had, but also because the food is unbelievable.
Yeah, amazing.
So good. He came over here as a refugee from Syria. And I don't know the entire backstory behind what was, what his individual situation was like, but you know, this movie also made me think about all the people that I'm sure he had to leave behind. All of his friends and family and people that he, you know, probably worked with and stuff back there that he had to walk by to get to come to America. And the whole story of Yassine is so extremely inspiring because he came over here and he had the same orders where it's like he couldn't generate income, he couldn't work and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But he joined a local mosque and began making falafel for the community of his church and stuff like that. Because I think he was a cook back in Syria and stuff, so he came over here and made them authentic Syrian food just for his church and stuff. And everybody was so blown away by it that he had somebody in his church be like, hey, you know, after your period of not making money is up, I'll back you. Like, the church is like, I'll back you to start a business. And this guy has gone on to be on Good Morning America. Like, his restaurant was named the happiest place in America.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's just so inspiring to see, man. Yassine is totally the fucking American dream. He came here from somewhere else to make a better life for himself and his family. He's fucking done it. He has brought so much to the community. He has given more food to the homeless and people in need. Whenever Nashville had the tornadoes and stuff like that at the first of last year, he has done so much. And this isn't even his fucking country. He is grateful to be here and to have the opportunity to, be an American and take part in the American dream. He's living it better than 90% of us. And man, this movie really did just make me think of him and his struggle as a refugee and what that whole experience must have been like. And that's just so cool, man, to see this explored in a horror movie.
Yeah, but I think this movie is exploring beyond what we would call the American dream success story.
Oh yeah.
To drill down to the concept of why it is we would expect refugees to even do anything. Like they're just run for their lives. Like, we should be welcoming them and lavishing them with things and trying to help them in every way possible, and not expecting necessarily a success story. Like, when you see a success story, when you see like someone who, like Yassine, like you said, like, it's so inspirational,
yeah,
that it's like, wow, how did you do that? But we should also look at any refugee and be like, how did you do any of the things you did up to this point? If you don't do a thing for the rest of your life, I am amazed at you as a human. Here are all of the basic necessities of life. And someone may be out there saying, but we don't do that for our homeless. Do that for our homeless. But we don't do that for this part. Well, should do that for everyone. And for true. Refugees. Yeah. We should be welcoming them in and really doing all we can to be like, I'm sorry the world has been shit for you.
Yeah.
And let's fix this. And also, we should do everything we can to stop making the world shit. But that's outside of the purview of this movie. But this movie does, like, the line where Matt Smith says, be one of the good ones. Like, that's the most, like, that's the knife twist there. That's where it's like the idea that just surviving up to this point wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's not good enough.
Now you have to impress us. Wow. Now you have to be one of the good ones. Now you have to prove that we didn't waste our time by not throwing you back into death.
Ugh. That's brutal. These are human beings. Brutal. These are just fellow fucking human beings that we're talking
people.
about.
They didn't do anything. I mean, they did some stuff, but that's, I mean, we got to talk about that. The morality of survival.
Yeah.
And how you can judge people for what they did to survive. I mean, at a certain point you can, and at a certain point it's like, gosh, what would I do?
Yeah, and that's something this movie takes on head on with the twist that we get probably 80% of the way through the movie, because I mean, basically the whole movie you're watching this going, oh my God, they were on their way over here and they lost their daughter on this raft. You know, she drowned in the ocean and they came here alone, and they are riddled with guilt about the loss of their daughter on their way to this new life in this new land and stuff. The whole movie, you think that's what they're upset about.
Nope. Yeah, and the thing is, they are upset about it, but for a different reason.
Yeah, dude, when it got to that part in the movie, which again is very close to the end, where you realize that the reason they were able to get onto that bus is because
they kidnapped a girl.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we're only taking kids on this bus. You know, it's so packed, we're only taking a kid on here. And they're like, we have one, put us on. And man, that bus is driving off and that mom is running after the bus, screaming for a kid and shit. Holy fuck, man. My stomach hit the floor. I was like, I did not see this coming at all. And here's the thing about that twist too. Like, part of why that twist is so cool is multifaceted, because for one, I did not see it coming.
No, not at all.
It made all of their experiences and dialogue between each other and stuff like that mean something different to me. It made me look at everything they said in a different light up to that point. But also, too, the movie still would have worked without it.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have just been them grieving her death, and maybe, you know, an actual responsibility of not, like, saving her from drowning or something. But the fact that, like, it goes so far as to, like, bring us into the mindset of, like, what would you do to escape? when you know death is coming.
Oh, yeah.
That, I mean, I'm not trying to rationalize entirely, but I am saying that little girl would have died in that village.
Yeah.
So, and maybe even worse, like she may have been sold into sex slavery and raped, etc.
Yeah.
Consistently tortured, like things like that. So, but then she still died. Like they weren't doing a good thing, is what I'm saying. But it's also like, I could see how you could rationalize it in that moment. Like, the men are coming with the guns.
Yeah, what difference does it make anyway?
Go. Yeah, this girl's, maybe we save her, but you're not. I mean, like, that's what the thing is. Like, it's guilt. Like, you can't escape it. Like, the way that the movie portrays it as a physical thing in the house. Like, they walk in, and that first night, that bit of wallpaper falls off, and it's like this veneer falls off and reveals this hole and rot beneath.
Yeah, this decay.
And that's the guilt. Yeah, that's the guilt just eating away at the center, and you can't escape it. You only can accept it. I mean, that's what he says in the end. Like, that's kind of like the moral of the story. He says your ghosts follow you. They never leave. They live with you.
Yeah, that's what reminded me of the Babadook about this too. It's very similar to the end of the Babadook, where it's just like, well, it's there. You just got to learn how to live with it.
Yeah, and he says it's when I let them in, I could start to face myself.
Yeah, man.
Like, you have to accept the things you've done. You cannot deny them. You can't avoid them. You have done them. They're realities. We've all done shit. There are things that are worse. There are things that are better. But the fact is the fact. The thing happened. You live with it. You can't avoid it. You can't escape it. But you can help it change you. Or you use it to mold yourself to become a better and different person. That's the only way that the guilt can ever be assuaged or put away in some way.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a very, very strong message that's there at the end of the movie, man. And yeah, I think it's just extremely effective. And I was so happy to see this topic explored in a horror movie, because even just kind of going from the trailer, I was like, it's another haunted house, haunted apartment,
right? Yeah,
kind of movie. And typically when we see those, it's just like, okay, a fucking white family buys a nice house that was, whatever, built on an Indian burial ground.
Or
like there's a little Elizabethan kids in there. Like, that's the kind of haunted house stories that we're used to being told.
Didn't give us our tuberculosis medicine.
Please, sir, may we have some less tuberculosis?
Some less tuberculosis.
So this is just a really cool, I think, environment and way to tell this story. Like you said, about survivor's guilt and the demons of your past and everything.
Yeah.
And again, it's just one of those things that was eye-opening to me, because it made me realize, like, I've never been through anything remotely as hard as it must be to go through the experience of, a war-torn country and literally having every day possibly be your last, escaping, and then being immediately told, hey, you can't work or have anybody over or really do anything you want, but also you really need to start acting like us too.
Yeah. Oh, and
also being shit
you.
on. Yeah, also being shit on by everybody, even people that look like you.
Yes,
like,
this movie.
Holy moly.
Yeah, this movie also drills down to the myth of racial solidarity. I mean, that like, starting in Sudan, the idea of racial solidarity is kind of a myth in its own. Like, the idea that you're going to be safe just because everybody is one color. And that is what this movie kind of eliminates, that concept that, like, just because they share a skin tone doesn't mean that these teenage boys aren't gonna still have the same, like, nationalist sort of feeling toward this African refugee.
Yeah.
And universally, turns out teenagers suck.
Also that, yeah, it's everywhere. And the way that our characters, our husband and wife in here, choose to try to assimilate and adapt to the new environment and stuff is very different. And I think that was a cool exploration in this movie, because our husband in this bowl, he seems to be a lot more ready to try to take on the characteristics of the UK lifestyle. Like, he wants to use a table and silverware. He wants to go to the pubs and sing the songs, even though he doesn't know what they're talking about. Like, he wants to blend.
I think they're portraying two extremes. She is living into Dan in her mind. Like, she is still there.
Yeah, very much.
She continually sees these sort of ghosts of her past. He's continually seeing these attacking witch ghosts. So like he is trying to leave behind everything he's done and completely ignore it and put this, again, veneer over it of, what was it, like Old Navy or whatever that he went into and just bought exactly what the model in the poster was wearing. Like, yeah, he's trying so hard to fit in because he doesn't want to be the person that he is, the person that had to do the stuff he had to do to get there. He has to not be that person in his mind. And for her, she feels like the entire journey in a lot of ways was a waste. She would rather be back home. Yeah. She would rather be back where she's from, where things are familiar, even if that familiarity includes death.
And I'll tell you what, man, like, all these aspects of the story that we're talking about are conveyed to us so fucking well by the cast in this, who I think is faultless. I think the cast in this is absolutely incredible.
Gosh, man. Unmi Masako is so fucking amazing.
Fuck yeah.
Not just in this. I mean, we talked about her in our Patreon exclusive Lovecraft country episode way back in the day.
Yep.
But we've also talked about her in the Black Mirror episode that we did, Playtest. And the thing was, I didn't remember she was in that.
I didn't either. She just disappears into roles, man.
I didn't remember she's in Batman versus Superman. I didn't remember she's in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I didn't remember she was in The End of the Fucking World.
No way.
Yeah. She is so awesome. Like, so good at being the character and not standing out, which is insane because she's gorgeous. Like, how does she not immediately stand out to me? But she's in so many things. She's in I don't think you've seen Luther, but she was in the fifth series of Luther, and she's in the upcoming Loki show. So she's all over the place and amazing. Yeah,
absolutely incredible. Just her portrayal and the way that you see the remorse and the guilt and stuff that she feels. Like, it's not a mega dialogue heavy movie. A lot of it is just expressions and eyes and close-ups of faces and stuff. Like, very, very revealing stuff for an actor to do. And man, she sells the fuck out of it.
Yeah, she's awesome. I really think, like, the way that she starts to look at him about, 30, 40 minutes into it, the way she starts to look at him, like, just conveys so much, like, I see what you're doing. Like, she's so capable, like, she's looking through him almost, and never really saying it except that one moment where she kind of confronts him when they're eating, and she starts talking about the Apeth, the Night Witch.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he didn't see it, and she's just like staring straight through him, and she's like, "You are a liar."
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh fuck, she like nails that moment so perfectly. I don't know, like, it was. I mean, I said last in December that this was the best horror movie of last year.
I believe it.
Like, everybody in this is so good.
And that's another thing too that just really kind of hit me about it, since you were just talking about that scene in particular. One of the things that she said in this movie that really stood out to me, that again made me think of Oma, and it made me think of Yassine and everybody else that I know who's been through a similar experience in their life. But, when she's talking about how, like, these ghosts and stuff can't possibly scare her after the stuff she's seen in real life.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Because she's being real and confronting the issues and stuff, and she remembers what they saw, she remembers what they did, and she's living with it. Meanwhile, to her husband, Bowl, who's just trying to kind of bury all this stuff and not look at it and not think about it anymore, these ghosts and stuff just completely destroy him and terrify him and shake him to his core because he is trying to ignore all the things that they just came out of,
Yeah. I mean, he walks in on her in the kitchen talking to Nyagak.
Yeah. Like at the table, just sitting down.
Yeah. She's just chill with it. It's like she recognizes kind of what they've done and realizes that she needs to accept the ghost that she's seeing. She doesn't know exactly how to make them go away yet, but she just accepts it because everything she's seen is worse than this, and she's admitted it to herself. He's constantly, like, that veneer he puts on, like, which is amazing acting by Sope Dirisu.
Badass.
I think it's Sope. Amazing acting when he's, like, putting on that front and just, like, starts doing that laughing that is just, like, unhinged and wild, but, like, also, like, he's trying to appear as normal as possible. So good. Amazing.
Man.
The guilt is just eating him up every single moment, and he plays it so well.
Oh, yeah. Meanwhile, she's using the experience that they've been through, for better or worse, as almost like her strength, as her armor.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been through the worst that could possibly happen, so I'm safe now in a lot of ways.
Yeah. The other performance in here that is it's hard to read, but it's amazing, is Matt Smith.
The doctor.
The doctor. Yeah, the doctor's in this. Old Prince Philip. He is so amazing.
He's subtle in this. Yeah.
Yeah. He, like, from that season of Doctor Who, like, a lot of people don't like some of those stories, though. I love the whole Amy Pond Rory stuff, but it was very clear that he's real good at portraying emotion and empathy with his face, and he does it so well in this. But it's because, like, I'm not sure what his character is. He says racist shit, but it's also like he doesn't seem to be like intentionally trying to hurt them. It seems like that's the culture he's absorbed.
Yeah,
like,
it seems that way.
He used to be a banker and he lost his job because of the 2008 financial crash. So there's some, like, bitterness there. And the other people he worked with are so, like, stoic and, like, they do nothing to try to connect with Bowl and Riel. But he does. He tries in some ways, but it's like he's portraying this, like, this character who does not know how to relate, but is trying to be slightly humane, but he's also still racist.
Yeah.
Like, all of that all comes across in, like, very limited, like, dialogue moments and just his facial expressions.
He's very good in this. You're right. It's like, that's a complex sort of wad of emotions and characteristics to try to portray.
Yeah.
But he does it very well without going completely over the top, I think, in any direction. And you were telling me, too, that the guy that ends up playing the Apeth, the butcher character in this, apparently has some credits to his name as well, right?
Dude, he's played so many creature roles.
Is he like Andy Serkis or something?
Yeah, kind of, yeah, like it, but horror. He was in the Wreck series. He played Mama in Mama.
Okay,
he was in The Mummy. He was in Crimson Peak.
Oh shit!
The Conjuring 2, Insidious. He's in so many, like, creature roles in so many of the biggest horror films of the past decade.
But if you saw this guy in the grocery store, you wouldn't recognize him.
Oh, you wouldn't recognize him at all because you've never seen him without makeup on.
Yeah, you've never seen his face before.
He's definitely, as you said, you texted to me, he's definitely Mitch McConnelling.
Yeah, for sure. He is Pale Manning the shit out of that role, dude.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the makeup is so, like, perfectly kind of normal, but also, like, real gross. Like, he doesn't go, like, outlandish monster, but it's, like, very, very creepy and gross. Extremely creepy, man. And there's a few things in particular about that character that really stood out to me, man. I love that part where Bull is having that vision of him, and it's in the apartment or whatever, but he looks like he's like really far away and he's standing by the fire, but it's like you can't really see him. You can see his glowing eyes and just like vague characteristics of his body shape and his face shape and stuff. It's one of those things where it's like it showed you just enough to make your brain go, what the fuck am I looking at? This isn't normal. This isn't right. Yeah. And then, dude, too, like, even at the end of the movie, whenever he's attacking Bull and stuff, the way that he starts to fucking wear him like a glove is so bizarre. Like, that was a very, like, Clive Barker move to me, where it's like, if this was anybody else, I think he'd be ripping out his intestines and wearing him as a necktie or whatever. But, you know, Bull summoned him there by making that cut across his arm, and the way that the butcher just reaches his hand in, like, I'm going to wear your fucking skin like a suit, for one, is brutal, and the effect was very well done. I thought it looked very convincing, but it's just so shockingly fucked up and weird and, like, the last thing that you'd expect that I found it very effective. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's probably something to be said there with, like, the way that Bull is trying to assimilate to white culture. And the fact that this creature is a white creature trying to get in under his skin, like the idea that perhaps this witch would infect him and then use his, like, ability or desire to assimilate into white culture as, you know, his way of controlling him.
Yeah.
There's like that like I was, the same thing was going through my head. I was like, oh, this is suddenly like body horror, and Clive Barker-y kind of, like, and it's still, I think I don't fully understand what it was going on there, like what they were going for, but I think that's some of it. Yeah, I think that's some of it, that he's trying to assimilate this white culture and, like, trying to become this, to the point that this white demon is gonna infest him, or this white witch is gonna infest him.
Yeah.
Or infect him. Sorry, infest him.
Fucking crazy. Really, really, really cool design of that character and really, really great portrayal. And all of that stuff is shown to us through some truly, truly gorgeous cinematography. Like,
it looks
if you don't like this movie, whatever, like, I guess I get it. It's one of those that, like, I went on IMDb before we started recording, and there's a bunch of reviews that fucking hated this movie and said it was the worst thing they'd ever seen. Dude, one guy on here was like, the only reason this is rated high is because BLM supporters went on here and rated it high because it's got black people in it. And I'm just like, fuck off. Why is this even still on here? It's insane. Absolutely insane. But I think that, honestly, like, even if you don't particularly enjoy this movie, maybe it's just, you know, too much of a feel-bad watch, which I get, you cannot deny how gorgeous this movie is, man. I mean, just
great.
The scenes in the apartment, which the apartment itself is a character, which is always one of my favorite things. When the location itself in a horror flick feels like its own entity.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it is in some ways, because the walls talk, sort of, and you know, it'll be Nyagak's voice, but then it'll be someone else's voice, and then it turns out it's all these people that died along the way in the Mediterranean Sea, like, in his mind. But yeah, like, the house itself is the representation of that. So he's, like, knocking down the walls and pulling off the wallpaper and ripping out, like, the electrical and all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely gorgeous. And especially too, some of the more, surreal scenes in this where you're not really sure, like, and that's honestly one of the things I like about this. You're not really sure if, like, Bowl and them are being pulled into some alternate dimension, if their actual physical space is changing, or if it's all in their minds, if this is some kind of, like, PTSD vision, hallucination kind of thing that they're having. You're never really sure, but, man, even those scenes where, like, it shows him sitting at the table alone by himself there, and he's eating, and the walls are crumbled down, but he's in, like, the water, and there's the corpses rising up. Yeah. I mean, it is beautiful and fucked up.
It is. The scene where she sees all of the women, I would assume from her family or just from her tribe that are dead, that were killed in that space they were in. Like the way that the way that I read that is really that it is, we're supposed to, at the end, we are supposed to believe that, in fact, there was a white witch, and all of these things were the things they were being shown by the white witch, by the Apeth. And that the sort of sneering tone that the people, Matt Smith and the other two people, take at the end. I mean, Matt Smith, I think is a little more sympathetic, but again, still sneering in a lot of ways toward their perspective. I think we're supposed to see that as wrong. We're supposed to see, like, no, this did happen. Like, you don't understand it. It's beyond you. It's outside of your experience. But this did happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's got so many visuals in here that will stick with me long after we do this episode. I mean, even just the shots of them walking at night through that field, and there's the other figures way off in the distance in the fog and the mist that are just walking, just trying to get away the same as they are. And then, like, there's that other scene where they're hiding out on top of that roof, and there's that guy with the suitcase that is on fire.
Yeah.
Like NBA Jam style, he's on fire, and he's still holding his suitcase. Like, he is literally being burnt to death and is still like, I gotta get out of here. Like, he has his stuff and is trying to leave. That's how bad it is.
Like, the way that we like are able to deal with the atrocities that happen all over the world is, for some people, it is to take humanity away from the victims so that you don't have to relate to them. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was actually probably the most, like, that moment was the one that really sealed it for me, seeing that man on fire. And I think it was just a briefcase. It looked like he was just going to work and now he's on fire.
Wow.
Like, that's just because a place is supposedly war torn does not mean people don't have regular day-to-day lives, and that these things aren't still shocking to them. Like, the fact that he was on fire and walking like normal is that shock of, what is happening? How am I suddenly on fire? I was just going to work. Like, we forget that these areas still have normal shit happening.
Yeah, life is still going on.
Regular human people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's an atrocity and it's hard to process, and we don't know what we can do about it, and so we have to rationalize it in our heads and make it okay.
Sure. Dude, all that stuff that we're mentioning, it makes it all the more unbelievable to me that this is this dude's directorial debut of a feature-length movie. That's
a feature-length, yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean, he's done some other work and stuff in video before,
had,
but
a couple of shorts, and he did an episode of a horror miniseries that was on Channel 4 in the land of Ing.
Oh, England, it's called. England.
Yeah, England. Yeah, but this is his feature-length directorial debut, and boy, knocked it out of the park.
Came out swinging. I'll tell you that, dude. Also, too, man, I feel so fucking bad for...
Did we say his name? Remy Weeks, by the way,
Weeks,
is the name of the director. Yeah. You said the guy who directed it, and I think you were like indicating to me to say his name.
Yeah,
his
fishing
name
a little
Remy
bit.
Weeks. Yeah.
I feel so fucking bad for dudes like him that are like, hey, I'm so stoked to get to put up my first movie. Also, it's incredible. Also, nobody's going to get to see it in theaters because COVID. Like, it reminds me of like people that started a restaurant at the first of 2020. Because there's so many. Like, even here in Knoxville, I know there's tons that were like, "Hey, I started a brewery this year, and nobody can come." Like, God damn it, that sucks.
Highwire just got their brewery here like last year, and some others just started recently.
Yeah,
Zool, Jesus, and to just have. Because what they were bringing was quality to the city.
Yeah.
and
this guy brought an incredible movie, and nobody got saw it in a theater. So that sucks. I really feel bad for him because I really do think that if this would have hit the distribution into theater scene, I think that it would have gotten a lot more hype than it has. Now that I've seen it, I'm like, why didn't everybody blow up about this more? Like, I realize it came out several months ago, but it's just like, I don't remember that many people talking about it then.
The thing is, horror writers were talking about it, like people who write about horror movies were talking about it, like how great it was. But I think, especially by October of the pandemic, everybody was kind of almost fizzled out of the newest thing on Netflix. Like we all had gone through the Bulls documentary series and
Tiger King,
everything,
blah blah blah.
Yeah, everything else that had come along, and it's like have we had anything like that since The Mandalorian? Well, you know what? The Mandalorian came out the same day as this.
Oh wow.
So, right? Like, maybe that had something to do with it.
But then also, Mandalorian, it's like you have the whole nostalgia drug behind that makes people just immediately want to latch onto it because it's kind of familiar, where, like, watching this movie in the middle of a global crisis, you kind of want to reach for the things that give you the warm fuzzies during this time in the world. So I guess I get it in a way, but I just wish that this movie would have existed in a time period where it could have been completely appreciated and watched in theaters by bunches of people. I think that would have really helped this along in its place in horror history.
Yeah, you were saying before we recorded that if Jordan Peele had directed this movie, people wouldn't have stopped talking about it.
Or produced it or anything, dude. And again, not at all knocking Jordan Peele, man.
No,
I absolutely
continue
love
to talk
the guy.
about Jordan Peele. Love him.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
love
like,
it, man.
because his the name attached to it, Remy Weeks, wasn't big enough, and it couldn't break through. That is what we were talking about in October 30th was The Mandalorian. So if it had a bigger name attached to it, people would have also been like, "Hey, have you seen this?" And also, if it had gotten to go into the theaters and people could have got that word of mouth, like, "Oh my gosh, you got to go see this." It has all the moments that people look for in a theater horror movie. It has those, like, there's no better way to put it, I guess, like jump scares that work. And I say jump scares, and I know some people are like, "Oh, fuck, I thought you said this was a good movie."
Right, yeah. Because typically that's the sign of weak horror. Like, you have to throw a cat at me to make me jump.
Yeah, and it's not that type of thing.
No.
It is, but it still fits into the realm of jump scare. That is when you build up tension to a point where a moment is supposed to scare you. Jump scare. The bad ones are scares that are a musical sting. Like, you're scared because the music tells you to be scared. Or, as you said, the cat gets thrown in. When you got good jump scares, people don't call them jump scares. They don't even think about it as a jump scare.
Right.
But when you build up tension slowly and then have a moment of release, that is the jump scare. And in fact, they can be great. They are not all bad. It's
this movie has plenty.
Yeah, it's just that when they're good, you don't think of them as jump scares, but it's still hitting the same markers. So the scares are what you would just generally assume in most horror movies are just what scares are. Tension building to an event.
Yeah, something unexpected that happens.
Yeah,
like something flashes up on in front of you on the screen. Something runs by the camera and you weren't expecting it. Like classic jump scare kind of stuff.
Something, but you don't know what it's going to be.
Okay, so here's the thing about why the jump scares in this are so fucking effective. To me, anyway, a lot of it is due to one of the more masterful parts of this movie, which is so understated that most people won't even realize it. The sound design in this is absolutely superb.
Amazing.
And the way the sound design in this really fucks with your head is crazy, man. So, like, for example, one of the jump scares, whenever Bola's in the apartment and he's seeing the girl, like, running around in the apartment and stuff, he's seeing her very unexpectedly. There's a part where it's just showing this empty hallway. There's like a doorway, rather, and you hear running footsteps. You hear footsteps that go blah, 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 like clodding along really fast. And then the daughter walks through the doorway walking slowly. It's like these weird psychological disconnects that the sound design in this is so effective at doing, where you hear running, you expect to see something run by the camera, but instead something walks by it, and your brain just goes, I was expecting something to come by the camera, but it wasn't that. That kind of just like, sleight of hand, I guess you would call it. Sleight of ear, in a way, where the sound told you something was coming, but I gave you something that was actually a little different than that, made it more effective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was listening to it with headphones on, and there were just so many little moments of like, just whispers or like tiny sounds and things in the background that they don't even react to, that like it slowly builds up. Then like if you're paying attention, you then like start to get to see them pay attention, and then we're all in it together. What is gonna happen? And then the tension builds, and then the moment there's just that thing that run across the camera type of thing that just like it gets you exactly where it's supposed to get you, but it doesn't feel cheap. You don't feel like you've been tricked into being scared.
Oh yeah.
Not even scared, tricked into going,
Mm-hmm. And some of it's even like classic misdirect stuff where, and we saw some of this in other movies like Hereditary and a lot of other flicks that I'm thinking of now to think about, where they kind of prey on, I'm going to say, everyday basic household fears where, okay, for example, whenever he finds the hole in the wall and there's like a wire dangling down and then he reaches his arm inside of the wall, like reaching your arm into an unknown hole. Yeah. Where it's just like, what if there's bugs? What if there's a snake in here? What if there's a nail sticking out? Like anytime you're putting your body, into an unseen, unexpected place. This could all go very sexual. I'm very aware of that. That's what she said that I'm setting up right now. Yeah. But like that kind of thing is something that we have all dealt with in some way that is scary. And the thing about it is like whenever it shows him reaching into that wall and pulling out that wire, and then you see there's a figure behind him where you're like, I was so fixated on what the fuck is in this wall that I wasn't even thinking of what could be coming up behind this motherfucker while he's doing it. The misdirection is so well done, man.
It's extremely well done. And Nyagak, Malaika Abigaba, I didn't find any, like, I haven't seen anything else she is in, but the way she portrays the character of Nyagak is so good, because she's extremely like sympathetic when they kidnap her, basically, and she is just confused and then screaming for her mom and stuff. But in the moments when she's supposed to be scary is when she's like so good. Like when she comes running at him with the knife.
And I hate a creepy kid in horror movies. That usually is ineffective to me. Yeah.
And, well, you know what they did good that I really loved is that they put a mask on her. Mm-hmm. Because Nyagak is not bad. She never did anything bad or evil. Mm-hmm. So she wears this mask, much like Michael Myers, to do the bad stuff. Mm. Like, and the mask is ugly. Like, the mask is fierce and scary. So she is getting revenge, but this is a representation of Nyagak that does not like is not directly related to her actual like personality or who she was. It is to scare him.
Yeah.
So they never like, by putting the mask on her, they never make us feel like the little girl was evil.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing about that mask, though, is that it is almost a caricature of just her face as Bowl knew it. She has the scarification kind of tattoos on her face and stuff. But it's almost like a memory he's tried to blot out that has become disoriented, distorted, I guess I should say, and disturbed as a result of the fact that he's trying to block it out.
Yeah, I can see that.
Very, very cool, man. This movie is fucking scary. Like, honestly, I don't remember the last time that we did a movie for this show, period, that I was sitting here being really unnerved, like really watching the screen being like, oh shit, like what am I about to see? I don't know the last time that has happened while we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah, no, it's been a while.
This movie scared me, dude. I was fucking tense as shit watching this movie. Were you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, that's one of the main reasons why it was my favorite movie of last year. That it was just really getting to me the entire time, like in the emotional sense, but also in the fear sense. Like it really does, and it's like an hour 30. Like it's a tight movie, so there's never a moment where you feel like a lull. Like you're either being drawn into the characters emotionally, or you're dealing with this frightening ass shit.
Yeah,
I loved it. I mean, I think when we talked about it in December, I didn't want to say too much.
Yeah, you didn't spoil it for me.
Yeah, I didn't. You do not want this spoiled for you, but watching it afterward, having seen the reveal that they had kidnapped this girl and she wasn't their daughter, and then she drowned. You watch through, there are no moments I saw where I was like, oh, you could have figured out that she was not their daughter.
Right.
Like everything about the movie, it's tight, it's scary, it's emotional. It has a great reveal that is in no way spoiled up to the point. It has just extremely effective scares. Everything works in its favor.
Oh yeah.
Like I love this movie.
But you know, the other thing about that twist that works so well, and this is a comment and a critique that we've made about other twists in horror movies, it always sucks whenever the movie punks you. Whenever the movie's like, hey, you remember that thing I showed you? I lied. You're an idiot.
Right.
This character was dead the whole time. Like, that sucks. When the twist is like unreliable narrative,
right,
that blows. This movie does a twist the right way.
Right. When they are individually talking to each other, they never talk about their daughter. Never once. Yeah.
Like the closest it gets is when like they're talking and he's like, yeah, I figured we could come here and we could start a family. And she kind of like silences him. And I'm like, oh man, he said start a family. Like they didn't already have a family.
Right.
And then you're like, actually, that's exactly what happened.
And when she's at the doctor, the doctor or nurse or whatever, they never say, the woman taking her blood, she compliments her on the necklace, and she says it was Nyagak's. And then
she
the
didn't
woman
say it's
says,
my daughter. Yeah,
right. And then the woman says, "Oh, is that your daughter?" And she doesn't answer.
I didn't think about that scene. Yeah, because like, at the time I was reading it as it was my daughter's. I don't have a daughter anymore. In reality, she was going,
and
I never had a daughter.
She was emotional, so she didn't like feel like answering, and also like the fierce look she kind of gives her is just like, you don't understand. But you get the feeling when you watch it the first time that like she's too emotional to talk about it, and then like unloads on the nurse because the nurse just doesn't. She feels like the nurse has this detachment from her and doesn't really care. But like what's really going on there is she's feeling a lot of guilt about what she did, and like then she's trying to like explain away her actions because of the things she was getting away from. Like she talks about her entire family being killed, and she cut those things in her arms so that she could blend in with either of the tribes.
Yeah,
like
she says,
she's
like, I
talking about
survived.
the things she had to do to survive.
Yeah, and she has that line in there where she's like, I survived because I belong to nowhere.
Exactly.
Like, God damn, like that's the life of a refugee, man. That's fucking brutal.
Yes,
brutal.
it is. Yes, it is. Yeah.
I get like Shining vibes at times from this. I get Poltergeist vibes at times. I get Babadook vibes. Like just a lot of really, really great things I think inspired this movie, but I don't feel like it's ever ripping any of them off. Is there any particular inspiration for this story that you saw through it?
Poe's Telltale Heart. A little bit. I mean, because what the Telltale Heart is about is a man murders someone and then buries him under the floorboards, and he can hear the heart, and it's like, you know, he starts to be driven mad by the thing that he's done, and that's what's going on with Ball, like the entire time. He's driven mad by the thing that he's done, so he hears these things behind the walls. She hears them, but she's not afraid of them, so she can just deal with them easily. They seem to sense his fear, so they fuck with him.
Yeah.
And that makes him basically just like he's constantly being reminded of the guilt behind the walls, so he tries to tear down the walls to get at it, but it's not there. That's very much Poe. But that's, you know, they're definitely huge leaps have happened since Poe wrote Telltale Heart. So this movie only has a tangential connection, I think.
I see it though.
Yeah. Those other movies you mentioned are probably much closer inspirations. The Shining I definitely see, and Poltergeist definitely see. Like, but it's unique in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, I think so, man. And I'll say too, another underplayed aspect of this movie that I thought was really well done is the soundtrack. It's not a lot of soundtrack in this movie.
Right.
A lot of it is just dead air and dialogue. But man, whenever there is soundtrack and it's these very like rustic sounding strings, and it's like it's instruments that I can't necessarily recognize, it adds to the feeling of just like, hey, I don't really know the story of how these people got here. I don't really know much about their culture. It brings to light my own ignorance about the entire situation. I'm glad it wasn't, you know, an orchestral score or an electric guitar is what I'm saying. I like that it added to the uncompromising view of this culture and stuff that we see in this movie, where, again, it is not spoon-feeding me anything familiar. I mean, even that story about the Opeth and stuff, the Night Witch, like, that's not really explained all that much.
By introducing the Apeth, like, it's saying, like, look at this culture, look at the richness of it. Like, it constantly does that by not over-explaining.
Yep.
Like, look at how rich this culture is. Look at how you could learn so much from this. Like, if you would listen, if you would be a part, if you would just stop hating refugees because they took your gerbs or whatever, and start hating the billionaire capitalists who actually are taking your gerbs.
Right.
Like, there's so much to be had and so much to learn.
And that kind of uncompromising, again, non-spoon-fed kind of narrative we're given about this entire story really is one of my favorite aspects of it. I think that I see some people watching this movie that are maybe, I mean, I just want to say a little bit lazier, that kind of want all the details about, like, why did they leave? What's going on? What's an Opeth? What is she wearing? Like, I feel like there's probably a lot of people that want those details and that don't like this movie because it doesn't give them to them. Myself, right. I'm very thankful that it didn't, because this is a horror movie that is being inspired by real world events. Like, what is going on in Sudan is fucked up, and like almost 500,000 fucking people have died over there as a result of all this shit. It's absolutely insane, and I feel like I feel
and
like if
that's
this
only
movie,
recently. There have been civil wars. It's been a bunch.
Oh yeah, and I feel like if this movie had those characters that, like we said before, were explaining to the audience what happened, what's going on, giving them the exposition, it would just turn that real life story into entertainment for white people. It would fictionalize it to a degree to where you're like, I'm watching a movie, I'm watching a fake story about some stuff that happened to people. Then they came here and there's ghosts. Like, I feel like that kind of fictionalization of what really is going on would be to extreme detriment. And I definitely applaud this movie for being like, hey, this is real life stuff going on right now. If you don't know about it, maybe you should go fucking learn about it.
You just put it into the Google. You'll find out pretty quick.
Google it. You'll find out why Sudan is fucked up right now. I like that this movie encourages a little bit of homework on the user's part, because I feel like that's something that if we really want to understand the situation that so many refugees from all different countries and stuff are in, maybe you should do a little bit of research about it. Don't wait for the narrator to spoon feed it to you and tell you why you should care.
And don't
I like that this movie
movies.
does that.
Don't look to movies for your source of what's going on. Like,
exactly.
They're meant to entertain usually.
Movies are stories. I don't have a lot to complain about. I think that, again, it was beautiful. I think the cast is great. I think the pacing was great. I think the message is fantastic. It's not a feel-good watch. This isn't one of those I'm going to put on any time that it's just like, hey, it's a Saturday afternoon. I got some time to blow. Let's watch that fun movie. Like, I'm not going to do that, but that's also not what it was trying to do anyway, so that's not a knock against it.
No, not at all.
I just feel like everything that it tried to do, it succeeded in, and I am extremely excited to see what's next from Remy, right? This is his first name?
Yeah, Remy Weeks.
Lemmy Winks.
Lemmy Winks. Oh,
Lemmy
no.
Winks. I'm extremely excited to see whatever he has to say next, especially if it's in the genre of horror, because I felt like this was really incredible and one of the best directorial debuts in horror since Get Out, honestly.
Get Out.
Or since Hereditary, since The Witch.
Well,
I mean, it's like
I was gonna say,
there's a lot of good firsts lately.
There's been a whole lot recently. Yeah, we're in a golden age, and I don't think it's gonna get any worse with people making movies after the pandemic. Got a lot to work with, so this is amazing. I mean, I don't feel I need to even justify giving it a 10 because all I've done is sing its praises. But I think this movie is a 10.
Wow,
it does everything I want a horror movie to do. Strong performances. Goes into the emotion of the characters deeply. It deals with real world issues, all the while being without any of those things. Well, you would still need the characterization that I talked about, but it's still being an extremely effective horror movie.
Totally.
And doing exactly what you want a horror movie to do.
Yeah.
So, for me, this is a 10.
I get it, man. I totally get it. I think I'm gonna give it a 9 just because I always like to withhold a 10 for a truly like I will watch this movie a million more times. Yeah, for the Wraith, for example, the Wraith. So I'm gonna throw it a 9, but I'll definitely say like this is the best horror movie of 2020 that I've seen. I haven't seen all of them. There's still some catching up I'm doing, but
I am still
of the ones I've seen.
I still, nothing has dethroned it. I've watched a lot more 2020 movies in the past month or so, and nothing that I've seen has been better than this.
For sure, man. And if you watch this movie and it inspires you to learn more about what is going on in Sudan, and you want to donate some dollar papers to help with those efforts and help people get what they need and stay alive and stuff, my wife compiled a little list here of some nonprofits that you can check out. Do some research into these and see what you think about them. There's the UN Refugee Agency, which you can find at unhcr.org. There's Helping Hands for South Sudan. That's Helping Hands, then the number 4, Helping Hands for SouthSudan.org. There's another one she found called Sawiyan.org that's out of Jordan. This is an advocacy and assistance to Sudan refugees in Jordan. And you can also check out networkforgood.org. Again, do some research into these. See which one you think makes the most sense to you, and donate and stuff if you want to help make a difference in this. It's massively fucked up, and it's something that was not on my mind until I watched this movie. This is the power of movies. This is the power of horror movies, of entertainment, stuff that can enlighten you about stuff that didn't happen in the past and not stuff that could possibly happen in the future. This is based on shit that is happening literally right now that I did not think about until I watched this movie. So this movie has enlightened at least one dumb, westernized, insulated white dude that didn't know anything about what was going on. So that in itself is a victory that this movie has achieved. So hopefully it'll also spread more light on the situation to everybody that listens to this episode and everybody that watches the movie too.
And if you want to help refugees here in America, contact your congressperson, contact your senator, and let Joe Biden know that those kids are still in cages and they need to get them the fuck out.
Mm-hmm. You're goddamn right they do. Let's do something about that shit, man, for sure. And if you want to help us out, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That don't cost a dime. But if you want to spend several dimes, you can also support us on the Patreon. Yeah,
patreon.com/deadandlovely. Head on over there. Become a patron on any level. You get access to the Patreon exclusive episodes. There's a Raising Hope episode up there. There'll be a The Boys episode up there sometime this month. Head on over there. But if you become a $5 patron, you get to submit a movie into the smoking bowl.
It's smoking.
It is, absolutely. It's on fire the entire time I'm holding it. You can't tell on like the videos because I put that stuff that makes the fire invisible on it.
Oh,
what is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
whatever burns invisible. That. Mm-hmm. It's burning my hand the whole time.
Oh, yeah. The Patreon stuff basically just goes to pay for Steven's medical bills.
Right, from the burns.
The people in the burn ward know him on a first-name basis. Every month they're like, Steven, again. And you're like, well, it was the drawing for the episode, so...
And they're like, well, who got drawn? They're always excited. They don't listen to the podcast, but they are excited to know who got drawn.
I get it.
Anyway, we draw randomly from that once a month, and then we review whatever movie we draw. We've done a lot of great movies. Excited to see what we'll do at the end of February.
Yeah, goddamn right. So be sure to check out all that stuff. Hang out with us on Facebook, Discord, and Instagram. You guys can find us. You know how to use Google, right? Go to Google, type in any of those things. You'll track us down like a bloodhound.
Yeah, Facebook.com/deadandlovely, Twitter @deadlovelypod, same on Instagram. We're all over the place. And if you want to join the Friday Night Screamin' Chat family, and it really is a family, shout out to all of my Friday Night Screamin' Chat friends. Head on over there. It's fun times. Everybody's super nice. If you're like, I don't know what a Discord is. Remember Yahoo Chat? It's like that. If you're like, I'm scared, I don't know new people. These people are the sweetest people in the world. They will be absolutely excited to meet you, whether you're a fella named I Cucked My Dad, or just a regular old person.
All are welcome.
All are welcome. And we miss you, I Cucked My Dad.
Well, you guys be sure to tune into the show next week. We're going to be talking about a movie that I have not seen. Steve, have you seen this movie?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. We're going to be talking about Tales from the Hood, Part 2. You can do some homework and check out our first Tales from the Hood episode.
That was
I don't know which one that is, but you can find it wherever you're listening to this. Jeez. It was a fun episode. So, yeah, check that out. Get ready. Do some homework for next week's episode. I look forward to checking out this thing and chatting about it with Hollywood Steve and drinking a cold beer. So be sure to tune in next week whenever we tackle that one. In the meantime, hope everybody out there is staying super, super well. Hope you're having a swell time. I know that I'm doing A-okay, and I'm super, super thankful for it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys have been fantastic. We've been Dead and Lovely. I've been Uncle Ben.
I've been Hollywood Steve.
We've been Dead and Lovely. Catch y'all next time. Bye.
We did it.
So I keep a running tally of notes on my phone of just like funny stuff that I happen to think about during the week that I should bring up on the show for the funnies, for the lulls, right?
Uh-huh.
And sometimes these ideas come to me and they're very fleshed out and instantly hilarious. And sometimes they're just kind of like sketches. You know?
Yeah, I've got a few of those myself.
Yeah, like I have just some where I'm like, I've been marinating on this a while and I can't quite figure out how to make it any funnier.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to spring this on you right here and see what you think about it and see if there's a way to develop this. Because this is just a short little note. But all that it says is Tom Cruise escalates Mission Impossible movie stunts until he actually dies. And in my head, I'm thinking like the way that he keeps making the stunts for those movies get crazier and crazier and crazier is like actually how he's going to like go out. Like he's going to write in a stunt to where like he actually dies and he's like, okay, the camera's rolling. This is where my character dies.
It'll be Mission
actually,
Impossible
like,
snuff.
Okay, yeah, the snuff one. Yeah. The finale.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I wrote this.
Yeah.
I wrote this down. I actually tweeted some of this, but I didn't tweet my full idea, Ben, and I really think this needs to get out there.
Okay.
The only Spice Girl that is a spice is Ginger. Unless Baby is spicier than I assume. I don't know how spicy Baby is. It might be spicy.
You know, I'm not going to be the one to find out, honestly. I don't intend to be the guinea pig for that one, to find out spiciness of Baby.
Right. I then had to further extrapolate, well, what is each Spice Girl? So Scary is an herb. Duh. Right?
Okay, yeah. Woo, spooky.
Sporty, aromatic. She's like she's your garlic. She's your onions. Because she's working out.
If you
so
go
she's
and you're
dying.
sporty,
yeah,
exactly. You're gonna work up some aroma. Makes perfect sense.
Posh is wine. Duh. That's obvious.
Oh yeah, obviously.
I'm just reporting facts, Ben. This is just how it is. So Ginger's a spice, Baby's a meat, and then this is a stew they're making.
That would make sense. Yeah.
The Spice Girls are witches, and they're making Baby stew.
Hidden in plain sight all along. Case closed.
You're under arrest, Spice Girls.
For making baby soup. It's probably keto, though, so...
It's definitely keto. There's nothing in... I mean, the onion's got a couple carbs, but, you know, other than that, Baby's like probably some pretty lean meat, I'm guessing.
They're going to put the Quiznos Hagazu sub out of business as the superior low-carb option for consuming babies. You heard it here first.
It's a shame this is at the end of the episode. This is the funniest stuff we're going to say the whole time.
High quality. High quality stuff.